Hello, this is Kevin Can F Himself, Season 1, Episode 4, supposedly set in Worcester, Massachusetts, but as we've discussed, it is mostly filmed far out to the east in Brockton, Massachusetts, and other locations. And this particular episode is even worse than many of the other ones in the sense that the scenes are either shot with the wife out in Vermont and the husband down in his basement, so there's not even scenes of anything anywhere that would be even remotely Worcester. So let's begin with looking back at a scene that I missed covering in the previous episode. And this was a scene that supposedly involved Union Station. Now, Union Station is this gorgeous building, and granted, before they restored it, it was a pretty rough shape. But now that they've restored it, it's really pretty. It's got classic architecture. It's a train hub and a bus hub. So this right in front of us is the train station part where they've got a train that comes through that's a commuter line to Boston, and it also goes to other places. And then over on the right-hand side of it is a big bus terminal area where all sorts of buses come in and out that go all over the Worcester region. And this building is one of our most beautiful locations in here, and this is just a shot from the inside. I have a whole video set about Union Station because it really is quite pretty. There's shops in here, they'd have a big Christmas fair, and all sorts of things. But instead, in this series, you get this next shot with the Patti hanging out at a WRTA, the Transit Authority, says Union Station on it. It's like, is this even remotely close to what Union Station is like? And you could say, well, maybe she's on the Union Station line, but it just doesn't work out. And it's a shame that they could have called it anything else. They could have called it City Hall or something. There's no reason to be calling that Union Station and have that related to it. The only other real reference in here is that the Kevin character is wearing a shirt that says live each day like it's New England 3, Atlanta 28. This is a reference to the third quarter in Super Bowl 51, and the Patriots ended up winning 34-28 in overtime. This was a huge, huge deal in Massachusetts, as you might imagine when this happened. People were staying up very late for this, calling each other, texting each other, talking about it for months and months afterwards. So it does make sense that Kevin in this scene is wearing this shirt that's talking about it and celebrating, and he's probably had this shirt for quite a while. So I like that he's wearing the shirt, and you guys have seen me point out shirts in other scenes in here. But really, this and one other shirt are the only two things even remotely referencing New England, not even just Worcester. So now we've got Allison and Patti leaving their houses. They're about to head off on this long trip up into Vermont to buy some drugs. And Patti is wearing a shirt that seems to say, eat, sleep, Worcester, repeat. So it actually has the word Worcester in there, which is really the only thing in this entire episode that even remotely references Worcester. And it makes no sense because even when they're down in the basement, there could have been stuff in the basement that references Worcester. You stick all sorts of junk down in basements. They could have had old Worcester signs they'd stolen or whatever. And when these guys go up to Vermont, they could have passed some scenes that show them, entering Vermont or leaving Worcester or something. But there is nothing at all in here, and it's just clearly frustrating to me. When they get up into Vermont, first they meet with some drug dealers who tell them that they can't get them their drugs right away, so then they foist these two kids on them, and the kids say, oh, well, we'll take you there, and then they don't end up taking them there, so they say, all right. The drug dealers actually buy Centennial Woods, which is way, way up in the north of Vermont. So let's take a look at where this is. All right, so Worcester is down in the center there, and you can see it's, partway between Springfield and Boston. And normally when you're heading up into the northern Vermont area, you go up a bit through New Hampshire, which is the state on the right if you don't know how these states work, and then you cross across into Vermont, which is the state on the, we'll call it the center, on the right-hand side of that Centennial Woods natural area, big stretch of water. And they're going a full 4 hours north to get to this place to be able to meet someone to buy drugs. And it really just boggles the mind that there is no one else that she knew that was anywhere closer that they could try to get oxy from besides this person who's up there, who clearly she didn't even know that well. So they get up there and they're told to try this and try that, and then they finally go up and meet this person in Centennial Woods, and they don't even get the oxy. They just get a gun, which causes them more trouble than it's worth. And I'll also say when they get the gun up here in Centennial Woods, she says, oh, I'll try someone else, but it's going to be another 2 hours. What are they like now going into Canada with a gun that they don't own? and drugs, or are they like going another 2 hours over into New York or back over into New Hampshire? It's all clearly a long drawn out chase. But that's the way these TV shows tend to be sometimes. So it's just one thing piles on top of another thing. And then her husband calls the cops on them and says the car was stolen, and then they have to find their way home. So it's impressive that they got home the same day, or not the next day, with the amount of driving that they've done around. So that is all of the Worcester references, or even all of the Massachusetts references in this entire episode. So I guess I'm getting a little depressed in that sense. In terms of the storyline, I like that the two characters are getting to know each other. Patti and Allison are getting to know each other a little better at this point, talking about things from their past and the way that their parents were and learning about each other. So that part is nice, but it's still just a tiny little set of moments in the overall scheme of things, which I am finding, especially the Kevin scenes, to be mostly tedious, and I just have no interest in watching those. So we'll see how the next episode plays out, and if they even remotely mention Worcester anywhere. So let me know if you have any questions or comments.